Well, hello everybody. It is July 29th, 2014. I'm Wes Hagen. I'm the vineyard manager and winemaker here at Clopepi Vineyards and Clopepi Estate Wines in the beautiful Santa Rita Hills, Santa Barbara, California, United States of America. We are still far ahead of our normal sort of ripening cycle in the vineyard. You just heard a propane cannon behind me. That's meant to scare the starlings away. We did see a very large flock of starlings just about, I don't know, a couple days ago that were flying through. Set up the propane cannon, start putting the nets up. Again, a grapevine's job in nature is to attract the birds and get the birds to spread the seeds of the grapes. So they're very interested, and Pinot Noir is the first red variety that gains color. And once it gains color, the birds can't stop. So we're working hard to keep the birds off the fruit. We'll probably be picking some fruit for sparkling wine within about 2 weeks. So we're kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting our winery set up to receive grapes, telling our sparkling producer Norm Yost at Flying Goat that the fruit's going to be coming in. We're going to actually do our first field sampling this week, which may be the video subject for next week. But I've been asking people to give me some suggestions on stuff to talk about. And so today we're going to talk about, last time, one of the last ones I did was why we shouldn't talk about wine, why talking about wine, wine should lead us to talk about everything at table except itself. But sometimes we go to wine tasting events, sometimes we go to seminars, sometimes we go to school for wine, and we want to talk about wine. So what I was thinking about, if we are going to talk about wine, I want to teach you guys how to talk about wine without talking about it like it's a damn fruit salad. Blueberry, blackberry, baking spice, that's all well and good if those things really turn you on. But to me, talking about what you smell in wine and what you taste in wine using sort of fruit references is, again, I think it's taking us down the path of that defining it somehow talks to the actual experience of tasting wine. So I'm going to teach you a whole different way of talking about wine. I'm going to teach you guys a structural sort of method and sort of model for talking about wine. So I have some visual aids because I'm too lazy to learn how to put subtitles and stuff on YouTube videos. So we're going to talk about nose, we're going to talk about body and mid-palate, and then we're going to talk about finish and structure. So I'm going to hold this up for a little bit so you can see that looks like, and we're going to talk about, so there are two types of things that we smell in wine, aroma and bouquet. So aroma and bouquet are a little bit different. Aroma is what you smell that's produced by fermentation. Bouquet is what you smell that's produced by age. So fruit, all the fruit aromas, the bright, young aromas in wine, that is aroma. But leather, tea, oak aromas, all that stuff would be listed under bouquet. It doesn't really matter that you understand it, but when we talk about it, I want you guys to know the accurate descriptions. Aroma, produced by fermentation. Bouquet is produced by aging. So here's the continuum. So from fruity all the way down to aged. So at the top, we're talking about aroma. On the bottom, we're talking about bouquet. So Jammy would basically be a wine like a big Zinfandel from Paso, that when you stick your nose in it, it has very explosive fruit. And then from Jammy, we go down to a more balanced fruit expression, fruity or primary. And when I talk about a wine that has a lot of fruit, I don't use the word fruity. I use the word primary because it smells to me like primary fermentation. It's a great wine geeky word to sort of put into your wine vocabulary and your lexicon. Jammy down to fruity or primary. Fruity and primary to me is a more balanced expression of fruit than jammy. Jammy means the fruit was overripe, 26, 27, up to 32 bricks, and gives that really expressive jammy character. Not my favorite thing to smell in wine. I prefer a primary or fruity character in my young wine. Then balanced. Balanced, you'll see, occurs in all three of these things: nose, body, finish. So balance just means that when you smell the wine, it has a beautiful balance of fruit and earth and all the other things that make the wine delicious to smell. Then, as the wine ages and gets into bouquet, you're going to get a little more earthy and mineral character. Sometimes a Chablis or a Sauvignon or maybe even a Pinot Noir has a built-in earthiness while the wine is still primary. But in general, earthy and mineral characters generally come as the baby fat starts to fall off a wine and the aromas become more in the begin to sublimate and the bouquet begins to come out. So that earthy mineral character, when I spend more than 20, 25 bucks on a bottle of white, 35, $40 on a bottle of red, I expect to smell some earthy mineral character that takes me someplace and speaks of the place where that wine is grown. And then the last part of nose would be austere or mineral. So if it's very difficult to get any aroma out of a wine or bouquet out of a wine, I call it austere. The wine's a little austere. It's actually a word that gives the wine credit. It's not like, I don't smell shit in this wine. What you say is, I don't get a huge aromatic profile out of this wine. So the wine tends to be a little bit austere or mature. You can say the wine's mature if you smell leather and rose petals and all these dried herbs and aromas. When the wine becomes mature, loses its primary character and becomes a little bit more mature in the nose. Mature is a great way to describe it. Then we've got body, mid-palate, and texture. So what we're talking about now is how the wine sits in the middle of your mouth. And so it's very, very easy. Light or elegant in the middle of the palate, like a nice Sauvignon Blanc or a very elegant Pinot Noir or a Rosé. Light or elegant, balanced or round. And round's a great word that I learned to use from Heidi Peterson Barrett, who learned this in Germany, that they only describe wine as round or not round when they're tasting it for blending. Round or not round. If the wine is round, that means it's a good wine. If it's not round, it's missing balance. And then rich or chewy. So when you put it in your mouth, if it feels very rich and big, again like a Cabernet or a Nebbiolo or a Zinfandel, or if you feel those tannins almost make you want to chew that wine. Rich or chewy is a way to describe it. Balanced or round is, you know, where we want it to see in the middle, sort of the middle ground. And then light or elegant. So when the wine's in your mouth, think about it. Is it light, elegant? Is it balanced and round, or is it rich and chewy? And then that's a way to describe it. And then the last one we have is finish and structure. Finish and structure is pretty easy to describe. It goes from the softest, highest pH, lowest acidity wine down to the highest tannin, highest acidity, lowest pH wine. So if the wine is soft and rich, like a big, again, like a Paso Cab or a Paso Zin or a wine from the Sierra foothills, big and mouth-filling, but there's no acidity, or you don't taste the tannin. It doesn't have much structure. If it has very little structure, like white Zin doesn't have much structure, not much acidity. It can be a little flabby and sweet. So you can talk about flabby, soft, low acid, high pH. If the wine, again, is balanced and round, we call it balanced or structured. The wine has good structure. It's proper structure or appropriate structure for the style of wine you're drinking. And then if the wine has good tannin, good acidity, it's nice and firm and bright, we can call it highly structured, tannic, or a little bit bright, or firm. Firm is a great word as well. And I apologize if I keep moving this thing around. And then the highest amount of structure that you can get in a wine, we're going to call it highly tannic, shrill, or acidic. So if the wine has a lot of acidity and it just makes your mouth, almost your tongue burn, it's going to rip off your cheek lining like a dry Alsatian Riesling. Those wines need more fat. You need a fat buffer in your mouth to allow those highly structured wines to find balance. So from a food perspective, the higher the structure and the higher the grip or the acidity in the wine, the more fat you need to match with it. And that's pretty much it for this week. I wanted to teach you guys to talk about wine without having to use fruit salad conversations. Now you know the structural elements of wine. These are the things that we think about when we decide a picking date. We want to make sure that everything that we're doing in the field, when we bring the wines in, we want to hit that middle point, that balanced, round character, so the wine is complete, delicious, and when you match it with food, it'll find a balance. If it's a food wine, it's going to have a little more structure. If it's a cocktail wine, it's going to be a little bit brighter, more primary, fruity, even sometimes flabby wines I find delicious as cocktails. So more structure, more food friendly, more flabby, more fruity, more of a cocktail wine. I hope you guys learned something today. Check out the website, clopepi.com. Check the YouTube channel next week, because we're going to be starting to talk about testing fruit and getting ready for harvest. I hope you guys have a great week, and let's hope this beautiful fog lasts another couple hours to keep us nice and cool. The weather's been pretty warm, and just a touch humidity. A little rain in Lompoc yesterday. All right, guys, have a great week. Talk to you soon.